Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, welcome to this, the 20th anniversary meeting of AEWA, and thank you also to all of you who over the years have been part of making this agreement and this initiative not only be one in terms of declaratory intent, but actually of practical action. For us in UNEP, it has been a privilege to host the AEWA agreement for the better part of 15 years and to, within the context of CMS, be part of a community that is trying to address something that is both an indicator of the welfare and well-being of nature, of biodiversity and of life on our planet, as much as in also being an indicator of how far our societies have begun to realize that the cost of not focusing on the conservation of biodiversity more generally, but also of migratory birds in particular and waterbirds, is something that we can ill afford at the beginning of the 21st century. The conservation assessment of waterbirds in the area of the agreement clearly points to the fact that we have not turned the corner. Indeed, many of the trends are still pointing in the wrong direction, and they are not an encouragement, if you want, in terms of where we are and where we are likely to be if things don't change in the coming years. When parties came together 20 years ago and began to form, if you want, a consortium of actors that could address this particular issue of migratory birds and waterbirds, it was perhaps at the time a Herculean effort and also a very visionary undertaking. I do believe that 20 years into our collaborative efforts, we can indeed point to many examples in different parts of the agreement area where success stories are unfolding, where we can and have demonstrated that with deliberate action, with intelligent dialogue in our societies with different players, we can reverse trends that very often seemed inevitable. I do also believe that the Secretariat and the parties and the many partners to the agreement have demonstrated that by coming together, we truly demonstrate our ability to do more than we ever could do individually. I want to in particular also acknowledge the government of the Netherlands and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which as depository of the agreement has been a very faithful and also very solid companion in allowing AEWA to thrive and to evolve over the years. I want to thank also Jacques Trouillet and the Secretariat for the immense work that they are providing and also for the focus on this 20th anniversary in trying to make AEWA an agreement that is both appreciated for its value intrinsically, but also for the promise that it holds for the future. I also want to appeal to you that as we take a very specific focus in our domain of biodiversity conservation, and particularly of birds, we should not underestimate the significance of something else that has happened this year, indeed just a few weeks ago in New York. The adoption of a new 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and in particular its very specific articulation with 17 Sustainable Development Goals, is not extraterrestrial to the work of AEWA. On the contrary, it marks a milestone, a very historical development, at least from my vantage point, of how many of the issues that we sometimes focus on when we talk about nature conservation and biodiversity are inextricably linked to the broader agenda of sustainable development. Human well-being and the well-being of nature, the protection of species and the functionality of ecosystems, the success of our societies and economies and the welfare of people, and their linkage to well-managed environments, be it in terms of healthy ecosystems or of a reduced pollution footprint, all of these issues are part of the fabric of our societies, economies and nations. Our focus, our responsibility in coming together under the umbrella of the United Nations is to not lose sight of this systemic perspective. In our specialization and in the priority that we afford to particular issues and domains of action, we must always retain at the back of our mind, or sometimes at the forefront of our strategies, the link to this broader context. It is there, it is in the decisions that are taken in our economies on land use, on energy and transport systems and their pollution footprint, that a significant part of the solution also to the conservation of birds, or indeed to the broader conservation of biodiversity lies. In that sense, we are very proud in UNEP to be the host of the Secretariat, to have it embedded also in the broader family of the CMS community and the biodiversity community. But ultimately, and that is what UNEP stands for in the year 2015, to also have that particular focus on biodiversity embedded in a larger understanding of sustainable development and where the solution space of the future is opening up. Happy anniversary. Thank you for your commitment and engagement, and thank you also for the partnership, the trust and the confidence that you have shown in UNEP as being a critical part of this community, and hopefully of the promise to have better success stories to show to the world 10 or 15 years down the line than we have sometimes been able to do in the past. But AEWA has nothing to apologize for and a great deal to be proud of. Thank you very much.